to Intro Skippers, your favorite podcast about what's streaming and the culture around it, presented by your friends with unique perspectives on entertainment because we work in it.
I'm Jason, an award-winning entertainer.
I'm Kim. I'm an award-winning journalist.
Today's episode, I've been really looking forward to this one.
That's because you suggested it.
Fine. But you know what? Fair enough. This is about Over the Garden Wall.
Yeah, so despite being 10 years old, this limited series has become kind of a cult hit. It also has a stop-motion animation that released recently to celebrate its 10-year anniversary. There is a pilot of sorts. Did you see that one?
No. Now, is the stop motion the whole story again?
No.
So it's a pilot of that. Or there's another pilot.
No, it's just a celebratory little clip that's just
with our
hanging
favorite
out
characters.
With our characters and checking in briefly. Very briefly for some of them. But it's getting the vibe down. This is a very vibey series.
It is. I didn't really know. I kept hearing about it, right? And recently, I kept hearing about it.
So you saw it for the first time.
Yes.
Recently,
Yes.
ending today.
Yeah.
And
I saw the last episode like an hour before we started.
Yeah, and I was like, are you going to be ready? And you're like, no, it'll be fresh.
It is fresh. Sorry, actually, I finished the last episode 45 minutes ago.
Good grief. I mean, That's great. I love it.
I have notes. I have my notes.
So I actually watched this a few years ago, just a, pandemic watch.
Okay.
Because people had been raving about it for years and years, and I just hadn't seen it. So I was like, I'll watch it. However, I didn't know anything about it. I just knew people liked it. So throughout it, I was really confused, borderline angry. I remember a few times going, what the f*** is this? While watching it, I heard your wife did the same thing.
Yeah, she made it through episode 2, and then she was like, I you know what? No. She was just like, no, I'm out. Let's watch something else.
Yeah, I stuck with it, and I gotta tell you, I really didn't like it through the first watch through. But I watched it again this season, and I've come to appreciate it because I understand what's going on now.
I didn't really get into it till like episode 3 or 4 to where I started to get it. Episode 1 I thought was cute with, it's the sort of misdirect of the beast. You think that the dog is the beast. And
that thing is still one of the scariest animated things I've ever seen, though.
The dog?
The dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty spooky.
Getting crushed up by the mill and being all spooky.
Yeah, and of course, Christopher Lloyd as the woodsman. He's got a...
Yeah, this cast is stacked.
Yeah.
The voice cast.
Yes, absolutely. Elijah Wood is Wirt. Melanie Linsky is Beatrice. Melanie Linsky, sorry. Okay.
We're going to call her Melania?
Melanie.
No, Melanie.
Yeah, okay.
She is a treasure. She's one of my favorites. She's on Yellow Jackets.
Yes.
I love it when her sweet melodic little voice says something just awful. Mm-hmm. And she does it plenty of times in the show.
Yeah,
we also have Jack Jones, the legendary singer, as
Yes.
aka the Frog.
Well, when he sang the awesome song, he was named George Washington in that episode.
Yeah, in that episode.
Yeah.
But what's cute is he didn't really get a name that stuck until Wirt decided to help name the frog.
Right.
Which is sweet.
Yeah. And then he was Jason Funderburger, the frog.
Funderburger. We also have Tim Curry as Auntie Whispers, John Cleese as Quincy Endicott and Adelaide, Chris Isaac as Enoch, the scariest character in this show to me. Enoch is that pumpkin from the Potter's Field.
Yeah, definitely.
That was an episode that really drove me up the wall.
That was episode 2, right?
Yeah.
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 The skeleton pumpkin people.
It's too scary.
I mean, when I saw that one, and look, did episode 1 have me enthralled? Not necessarily. But because of all the hype around it, I said, I'm going to give this a chance. Mm-hmm. And then once I did, then I was locked in.
Yeah, it's actually rare that I'll just give up on a show and walk away. So I did watch it even though I was really put off by Hard Times at the Huskin Bee, which is episode 2.
Right.
And then I remember screaming at Schooltown Follies during the song. But I've come to love the song. Well, I mean, I really didn't know what this is at all. And the show doesn't really do itself any favors because it doesn't explain what's going on until episode 9.
Right.
Which is I guess, reality, but I think that part is a dream that is based in reality or their reality. There's some indications that this is taking place in the 70s, just based on the technology around
The mixtape.
the cars. They're all square. They have those like mushroom canisters in the kitchen and that like yellow and orange wallpaper. It could be the early 80s. I don't know, but
But it was also weird that Sarah didn't have a tape player. So what that made me think was that it was later in
I
the
thought
future.
it might be earlier because tape players are hard to come by.
That could be it too.
All right. Well, let's just say sometime in the late 1900s instead of the early 1900s, which is what the rest of the show might lead you to believe that it was.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like the taverns that they, I mean, everything, you know, with the baker and the tailor and the candlestick maker in that one.
I was thinking about that, and that actually reminded me of the Canterbury Tales from Chaucer, where it's like, I do this, I am that. You know, I make candles. I am the rector. Just people who are defined by their jobs, and juxtapose that against Wirt, who's like, I don't know, I'm a guy.
Yeah.
He's trying to figure out who he is, and they're like, oh, you're the lover. We shall have a fine wedding day. You're the pilgrim.
You can't wear that hat, young man. And, you know, and then we don't even realize that they're in their Halloween costumes until episode 9. Mm-hmm. And because I was like, what is Greg's, why is there a teapot on his head?
He's an elephant.
Right, but I don't find that out till episode 9. It's the elephant in the room, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say during my first watch through of this, I thought it was just unbearably creepy, just too much. I couldn't believe it was on Cartoon Network instead of Adult Swim because of the darker tones.
I think it works for kids, though. What I wrote down was, it brings a feeling of nostalgia from childhood, can be good for children, but can be enjoyed at any age.
I came around on my second watch through, which is I've thought about the Western view of death and how we try to avoid it, and we don't want to talk about it, and we don't want to see it, and we don't want to hear it. But it is part of life, and it does happen to us all without fail. You know, we have other world cultures. Death can be celebrated, and death can be viewed in less of a horrifying, somber way. So when I thought about it in that way, I thought, oh, maybe this actually would be good for kids of a certain age to watch. Maybe not little kids, but kids who are starting to realize what mortality might be.
Right.
Trying to think about where they fit in the world. Maybe that would be a good thing for them to confront.
Kids that are sort of like just learning about what death is. Maybe they watch this, show this to them first, and to give them like a little hint along the way. Of course, this is coming from two people who are not parents.
I am not a
so
parent.
So what the hell do we know?
Well, I don't know. I could be a parent one day.
I'm an uncle. You're an aunt or something, right?
I keep forgetting I'm related to that baby.
Yeah, you're an auntie, so you're related to that baby.
Okay. Yeah, but there are a lot of themes in this that I would say are definitely more adult. There's a lot of interpretations. This is very interpretation heavy, this series, where it's like,
Quite.
What does the unknown represent to you?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
It represents probably like fear, and the fear of failure or the fear of growing up. I mean, if you think about like Wirt has this overarching fear of like losing Sarah, right? And
he has like such a messed up view of what he is and how everyone sees him.
Right.
He's like, everyone's going to hate me at the party. And they're like, oh, hi, Wirt.
Yeah, everyone's like happy he's there. And then he's like, Jason Funderburger, he's got it all figured out. And he's like literally the worst.
Hi, Sarah.
Yeah.
He's like, really?
Mm-hmm. And she's like, you can take your hand off of my hand now.
Sarah likes Wirt, and she does not like Jason, and he just doesn't see that.
Yeah, not at all.
But I mean, you were talking before to me off mic that you thought that Greg died at one point, and I would say that is the darkest episode of the entire series. That's episode 8, I believe, Babes in the Wood, which is based on, I mean, it takes basis from an old story called Babes in the Wood, where two children die in the woods, covered
Okay.
in leaves. So yeah, it's a little scary and
Visually, that's what they were showing us. And
knocking
then
on that mortality again.
when he went to Cloud City,
I thought
right?
he died.
I totally thought he died. The only thing that stopped me from thinking that is when he started to sort of do like roller coaster rides up there and stuff like that. I don't know why that made me think, okay, maybe he's imagining this or it's a dream. It's not actual death.
I think that's where the show exists, which is you
Yeah.
never are really quite sure of where we are. There's different themes that weave back and forth between life and death and dreaming and being in reality or fantasy and reality. And it's like in this liminal space between them where you're never quite sure where it is, when it is, what it is, how much of this is real, how much of this is imagined. It's in that transitory area, or I would call it the state of being lost.
I will say that with all of the interpretation that, you're supposed to do, it's still compelling. Like once I was locked in, of course it took me to episode 3, but that's another story. But once I was locked in, I was locked in. I wanted to, I'm like, I need to get these questions
What
answered.
locked you in?
Because
episode 3 was Schoolhouse Follies.
Yeah, I know. But what locked me in was
Schooltown Follies.
the teacher singing, the weird dad showing up and saying like, we've made this school for
This is my school for animals.
to teach them to read and talk. And I was like, what the hell? And then, they steal the musical instruments only to then raise money for the school. And I thought, okay, like actually,
But what a pointless school.
hey, you know what? Look, if you could teach your cat to talk, would you send it to school?
I know I can't teach my cat to talk, so I'm going to not send her to school.
What if there was a school
What if
where
there's
you
a
could teach
wild gorilla on the loose, Jason?
Well, what if it's just a guy in a gorilla suit and you can't get the top off? You can't get the hat off.
Well, then I guess my song about the ABCs of why I'm mad at him would be moot.
It would. It would.
But this is as soon as I heard potatoes and molasses, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I could do without the potatoes and molasses song. Honestly, it was probably not one of the best ones. I liked the rehashing of the Adelaide song, the
How did that go?
redefining. I just remember that he was trying to write it, and then he didn't really have a good ending, and then towards the end he had an ending. Do I remember it? No. I just remember.
You don't remember it?
I remember the journey. Do you remember it?
I'm not a professional musician, but yes. No, I don't.
Maybe you are. So sing it.
Oh, potatoes and molasses.
Not that one, though. Not that one.
I'm sorry. That's the only song in my head.
The one about going to Adelaide. You know that one?
I sure don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I was.
But the potatoes and I appreciated your performance there.
Yeah, you only let me sing one line, but that's okay.
You can keep singing if you want.
Shake your and shake your asses. I'm gonna admit something. I don't know the lyrics to this either.
Yeah, I don't think those were the lyrics.
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But it's interesting that your brain went there.
Yeah,
so,
it's a club song.
Yeah, okay.
I changed it.
There you go.
Do you like it?
I
You
love
love
it.
it.
We
There you
should
go.
release it. We'll auto-tune it up. One of the things I did write down was there were 3 things that I was reminded of while watching the show. 1, the wind in the willows. Mm-hmm. 2, Adventure Time
Well,
at times. And then 3, like Miyazaki films. Like when Auntie Whispers shows up, that's total Miyazaki to me.
certainly the animation is Miyazaki, where it has these, beautifully painted backgrounds and relatively simple characters in front of them, but they have just some gorgeous, almost, perfect paintings of a fall scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of Adventure Time, this was created by Patrick McHale, who worked on Adventure Time. Pendleton Ward, who created Adventure Time, also worked on this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Well, that's why I got that vibe then.
you read it right. Well, Patrick McHale originally made Tome of the Unknown, Harvest Melody, which was a short for Cartoon Network short program at the time. And while that was, being decided upon by executives or whoever the powers may be, he was working on Adventure Time, and he got pulled off of that to go work on this. And I think it really shows.
Yeah, definitely.
Wirt and Gregory grow tired of walking, so they borrow a car made of vegetables from a romantic songwriter named John Crops. They travel to a town of dancing vegetable people, unknowingly bringing crows and other dangerous animals along with them. But they manage to escape while John Crops finds a lover. John Crops is like a pumpkin watermelon man.
Mm-hmm.
And he is voiced by C.W. Stone King, who is a blues singer, songwriter, guitarist, and banjo player.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of music in this, and I wanted to know what you thought as a professional musician.
I loved the music in it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that, in fact, there was a song in episode 9 that I
Was it
Shazammed.
when Wirt was in his room?
Yes, when Wirt was in his room, and then later when he was feeling dejected walking down the street. That was like a cool kind of like bluesy, slow rock song that I dug.
Mm-hmm.
It should tell me in my history. The Fight is Over, featuring Patrick McHale.
Well, there
So
you
was that
go.
Patrick
Yeah, he
McHale
sang
singing?
it.
Yeah, he's got a cool singing voice. Good for him.
Well, Jason Funderburger. Wait, is that his name? Jason?
Yeah.
Okay. His look is kind of based on an old picture of Patrick McHale when he was younger, like a teen.
That's funny. So he's
Yeah.
kind of like making fun of himself a bit.
Well, yeah. I feel like if any character is a self-insert, it's Wirt. Apparently, he also used to wear a very similar costume that Wirt wears to performances, musical performances. But yeah,
so not even just on Halloween.
nah.
Okay.
It's like a Union soldier's cape and a gnome hat.
Yeah.
Sure. And he was like, it's like when he put it on in that episode, he's like, yeah, this is it. This is the look. But, I mean, the overall vibe of this, it's kind of crafted to make you think it's a childhood memory, but it can't be. This is only 10 years old. It's kind of like existing in vague memories, fuzzy memories that don't really exist, which is an interesting way to craft a relatively new animated show to sort of embed. I wonder if a few decades down the line, people kind of forget when this was made and think it was made earlier.
They could. Yeah. Filmmakers are getting better and better of doing that these days too, of making something look like, it's taking place in 1972. Let's make it look like it was released in 1972. With the film grain and everything like that.
Well, it has this early 20th century style, and sometimes it has it's dark around the edges and forms kind of an oval.
Yeah,
which is a
it does the
very old
vignette
style.
or whatever,
Yes,
that's sort of like, I don't know, 30s or something, or 20s even.
20s.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
1920s, not 2020s.
Not now, like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of it is based on chromolithography, which is kind of the folksy autumnal Americana vibe, that sort of brown tone that's very prevalent
Sepia
in
tone.
this. It's this vague time in the past. I've seen people compare it to a Mark Twain book called A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, where he gets hit on the head and gets sent back in time, which I guess you can say happened, or I guess you could interpret happened. I mean, I think a lot of people try to interpret what was a dream and what really happened, or did he go back in time?
Do you know there was 2 movie versions of that book?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so they made a movie, and it's based more literally on the book, called A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, and then Martin Lawrence made a movie called Black Knight.
That was based on that?
That was also based on A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court.
What about A Kid in King Arthur's Court? How is that related?
I don't know about that one.
It's not.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, but I do like all the references it's pulling. I like, this has become people's annual Halloween watch.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
what's
it's like
strange is...
it sort of harkens the beginning of fall to a lot of people.
I mean, the middle of fall even, because it originally launched on November 3rd, and they made the moon phases in the show match when the show would actually air.
Wow.
Yeah. And
talk about having to meet a deadline.
I know. If you don't make it, we'll have to check the almanac, I guess. But, I mean, it really plays well into the theming of the show because it's autumn. And autumn is kind of a reminder. I mean, now it's like this really chuggy thing where it's like, I like wearing chunky sweaters and putting up pumpkin spice memorabilia.
I was going to say pumpkin spice lattes, yeah.
But it's kind of like the reminder of how ephemeral life is. You know, everything's dying off. You get the harvest, which is good, but it's also like things are dying, leaves are falling, it's getting colder. You know, if you look at the Potter's Field, the scariest episode, everything's dying off. It's a skeleton town.
Yeah.
So everything draws our mind to kind of this balance between life and death and honoring the dead and honoring our lives at the same time, because it's also a celebratory time. But I think it fits well with this idea of the creeping dread of time that comes with time and growing up, which I think is from Wirt's perspective. I think Wirt is the main character, if I had to guess, not Greg.
I feel like Greg's sort of the comedic foil.
Yeah, he's
and he gets
not
his
that
own,
deep.
He gets his own episodes, or really, like, I think 8 is really his choice, and then some of 10, he sort of had the choices that he made.
Though, to be fair, you know, Wirt kept blaming him.
Yeah.
Greg didn't do anything wrong, it's revealed. It was 100% Wirt the whole time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, Greg's just being a little kid, as little kids do.
And he has to protect him. And I read somewhere that, like, at one point, like when it's snowing, the frog represents Greg's heart. So Wirt has to, like, protect it.
Oh, interesting.
You know?
What do you think the woodsman represented? Because every episode, there's a new layer that opens about the woodsman. Like, at first you think he's a helpful person. Then you think he's evil. Then you realize he is helpful. And then but then Wirt and Greg still think that he's evil. So we as the audience know that he's not evil.
Not evil.
But Wirt and Greg do. And then it turns out that he's being basically hoodwinked the entire time by the beast of eternal darkness.
I mean, the beast represents the lack of hope, the absence of hope. So in his kind of slavish, you know, following of the beast and doing what the beast wants, which is feed the fire, he's just someone who's really scared and has become victim to fear. And he learns eventually. I mean, Wirt figures it out real fast. That this was all a lie, and this isn't. It's based on a false hope from this entity, which represents the lack of hope. And it's I think we can come to learn that the power the beast has is only the power that we imbue it with. Kind of like feeding wood to a flame. He doesn't really have power if you confront him head on, which is what Wirt did.
Yeah. And then he lost all power.
He was nothing after that. So I think he represents the wrong path to go down, but he's not a bad guy. He's just someone who's a little misguided. I wonder if it is to say, don't get too hung up on what was and in the past, which is pretty ironic coming from this thing, which is very much enveloped visually in what was and the past.
It's a giant visual nostalgia.
But it's like a nostalgia that I never had, so I'm honestly not really sure why people feel like so connected to it, because this didn't happen in my childhood. This isn't something I feel attached to, per se.
A lot of people say that about the show Friends.
Can I admit something to you?
Sure.
I've never seen Friends.
Like, not even an episode of it?
I watched like half of one and I was like, I don't like this.
Sure. I'm not a fan either. I've seen like bits and pieces of episodes. There's no way I could
love it.
There's no way I could avoid it, right? So maybe that's why we're friends, because we don't like the show Friends.
Or the anti-Friends Friends. Can we rename the podcast?
Sure, let's call it that. The anti-Friends Friends. But what people say about Friends, though, is that it's nostalgia for something that never happened. Like, if you watch Friends now and knowing that, you know, that show took place almost 20 years ago, even the things that happened in the show, those things weren't really happening to people even back then. So it's interesting that people have nostalgia for Friends because it's a time that never happened much in the same way that you don't have nostalgia for Over the Garden Wall because it never really happened to you.
It didn't happen. I don't think it happened, period. But it definitely didn't happen to me. That's how I feel about, like, 50s nostalgia. I don't get it, and I actively don't like it because, you know, I'll see, like, a sock hop and be like, why did you do this? None of you were alive. Why do you idolize this particular time? Don't you realize how racist this time was? It was probably really bad for a lot of people. I don't want to go there.
Yeah. Are you talking about, like, people that have sock hops now?
Yeah.
I didn't know people were having sock hops now.
The business down the street from where I live was having a sock hop, and I was like, why?
Oh, God.
I guarantee none of you lived in this time because how long ago was that?
Right.
Like almost 80 years ago?
Yeah. Wow. Nope, we don't need to have a sock hop.
I just don't get it. And also, I mean, I guess I feel that way about the era that's being depicted primarily in Over the Garden Wall, which is like, I mean, I don't care about this. Early 20th century, like, okay.
Right. What do you think the Frog Fairy episode represented?
Oh, when they're on the boat?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the most anthropomorphic the frog ever got. Like, he got embarrassed that he wasn't wearing clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually he was walking around on two legs, and he got to sing and be the hero of that episode. I think that was an important episode because it showed the turn in Beatrice. Because before she was trying to lure the boys to Adelaide so that she could, you know, trade them in, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But she was actively trying to keep them away in this episode and trying to, like, thwart them. And she, you know, where it was like, I don't know if I can play the bassoon. And she was like, you definitely need to play the bassoon because she thought that it would be so bad they'd get kicked off the boat.
Right.
So I think that was important for her because Beatrice hadn't really, I mean, if you rewatch it, which I did, you can kind of see what she's working the entire time. Like when they first find her and she's like, help, I'm trapped. Is she really trapped or is this very convenient?
Right. Well, now that we know her, then, you know, clearly she wasn't trapped. Mm-hmm. But, you know, she did tell the truth about being cursed. She threw a rock at a bluebird and then that cursed her to become a bluebird and her whole family. So, moral of the story, don't throw rocks at bluebirds.
I wasn't gonna.
Okay. Are you sure? Because we talked about this one time. You're like, I saw a bluebird and there was a rock.
Never talked
and I was
about
thinking
this.
about this.
No.
Oh, okay.
Don't say that. People will listen to this.
I'm kidding.
I would never hurt an animal.
Yeah, me neither. No. Yeah, don't throw rocks at birds, period. If there's one thing that we can put out in the universe with this podcast, that is don't throw rocks at birds.
Yeah, they don't like it.
No, not at all.
But, I mean, I did end up liking this a lot more the second time around. So if you are like me and you didn't like it the first time around, why don't you experience some death in your life and then watch it again and then you'll like it. It got dark, but that's the way it is. Death comes for us all.
Yeah.
Insert sponsor here.
Sponsored by a mortuary or something. You know, the good thing about it, too, is it's kind of bite-sized. The episodes are 11 minutes.
Oh, it's so bingeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really easy
Take
to
it
watch.
from one who just binged it.
Well, I have it on Hulu. How did you watch it?
Yeah, same. Hulu.
And I don't have fancy Hulu, so I did have to watch all the
I
commercials.
don't have fancy Hulu either. Maybe, you know, I don't know. I often struggle with the choices of like, well, you know, I'm a professional musician, so should I have every music service to check it? You know, like, so I have some.
You could write it
but
off.
I don't have. You could write it off, but you still have to spend the money.
It's true.
You know,
it's true.
So it's not like you get it all back.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
I recently learned that's not how taxes work, and I didn't like it.
I know. We've been lied to this entire time.
Well, I actually watch Hulu on Disney Plus.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I watch an app within an app.
That's deep. And now I think you can watch 3 apps within that app.
What else can you watch in there?
Apparently ESPN Plus.
Oh,
or something?
I wouldn't know that.
Yeah. Well, no, I just saw the ad for it. Yeah. I wanted to talk about Lorna, too. So Lorna was Auntie Whispers is.
You think
niece.
Auntie Whispers is the evil one, but it's Lorna.
Right. Well, technically it's not Lorna, though. It's a spirit that has
Lorna's
possessed
body.
Lorna.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was an interesting twist.
Yeah. And then her pallor got more and more like normal and the further she got away from the spirit. At first she's white, pale white, and she becomes more, I guess, rosy as time goes on.
I had written down she's voiced by the girl from A Knight's Tale. The main character in A Knight's Tale.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying Auntie Whispers, and I was about to say no.
Yeah. No.
Tim
Lorna.
Curry,
Lorna.
But okay.
Yeah. A Knight's Tale, which is a movie that I hated when it first came out, and then I grew to love it. The big reason why I hated it was because I actually didn't like how they used modern music in it. I thought it took me out of it each time. And then I realized, this isn't supposed to be historically accurate at all. So just enjoy the movie.
I feel that way about Ella Enchanted, except I hate Ella Enchanted.
I didn't see that.
Anne Hathaway.
Nope, didn't see that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how much of this show do you think actually happened, and how much was a dream?
That is an interesting question. I mean, you never see him. Well, you kind of do. At the end, they're in a river, right?
They fall in the river because they go over the garden wall.
So that could have all been. But here's the thing. We could say it could have all been a dream, but then did they share the dream? Right?
I don't think you can do that.
Right, you can't. So they both had memories.
And then we check in later with how all the characters are doing, and Beatrice is restored to being a human. The woodsman has his daughter. So I think it did happen.
Yeah. Eat your dirt. I thought that was a...
Mom, stop saying that.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? Get us all turned into bluebirds again? That felt bad, actually. Felt bad for her at that moment.
Well, she did turn them all into bluebirds.
She did. You know what?
So maybe she deserves it.
She could be made fun of a little bit for throwing a rock at a bluebird.
Yeah. See, that's why you don't do that.
Yeah.
But it was, there were some pretty disturbing imagery. Like the Edelwood trees are all children who got lost in the woods and got turned into a tree. Yeah. And then this man was tricked into chopping them down, which I guess is killing the children and pouring their blood into the lamp.
Right. That was gross.
Yeah. So did that happen? Did that happen?
God, I hope that part didn't happen.
It's hard to say. But again, I think this really exists in a liminal, dreamlike space. Or it is the state of being lost, most of it. So you could argue, you could even argue the Harry Potter method, which is it happened in your mind, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
I did actually really enjoy the Uncle Endicott episode, but what I thought was interesting was, if I recall correctly, unless I missed something, they're just there at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, it's kind of in media res where they're tricking this guy.
Right, but you don't really know. You don't see them happen upon the mansion. You don't see them discussing the plan. They're already in the mansion at the beginning of the episode, and Beatrice is already telling them to trick him into saying that they're his nephews, and she's already trying to steal money. Now, of course,
the horse is really into stealing.
Right? Yeah. Until he gets a legitimate job at the end of the episode. But it's also interesting that is where you kind of see, like, oh, this is the first sort of dark thing that you've seen from Beatrice in a weird way.
Is it?
I think so.
I don't think stealing is that dark. Stealing from the rich?
Okay.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I'll do it any day. That's my personal guarantee.
Which brings me to the cop.
Hey, no running in the street, kids. Just kidding. Happy Halloween.
Yeah, you're all under arrest. Hey, wait, I was just kidding. That was clearly made 10 years ago, because I don't think you would make that joke now.
Not now.
Of a cop joking that he's arresting kids.
It takes place in the 70s or the 80s, we think.
So we think.
We think.
Yeah. I wrote down that the Old North Wind was an asshole.
The Old North Wind. He got trapped in a whiskey bottle. Somehow.
Yeah, they just go into that shack and then he's in the whiskey bottle.
I think Greg is a little bit of a deus ex machina. he actually changes the least of all the characters. You know what? I don't think he changes at all. He's kind of like, I think he absorbs like 40% of what's going on, and the rest of it is his own little dream world, which we thought was child heaven.
Right. They're like, oh my God, Greg's dead.
Oh my God, the little boy's dead.
And you really think that he's dead twice, because you think he's dead when he's in Cloud City. Then when he gets granted one wish, and basically you can tell that his wish is to be swapped out with Wirt.
The Cloud Queen was like, oh, well, it must be then, you know.
Yeah.
She doesn't
she
seem
didn't
like
like
she
his
likes it.
No, she did not like his wish at all.
But I have a question. Is the Queen of Cloud City, I know that's not right. I've messed up what she is, but you know who I'm talking about. Is she the Beast? Because she's tricked Greg, right? Like at the end.
No, I don't think she's the Beast, because here's why. The Beast wants another sacrifice.
Yeah.
So the Beast already has Wirt. So why even bother switching him out?
But he doesn't have Wirt, because the Queen said, "Oh, your brother's already lost," but he peels off the branches like it's nothing, and then you see, what was that?
I think someone let off a firework.
See
North Hollywood, folks. Fireworks happen at any time.
Cool.
Usually in the middle of the street.
Oh boy. Well, you see Greg walking off hand in hand with the Beast.
Right.
And then he's tricked him into, freezing himself to death by, get the sun into the cup, which is stay out here and freeze.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's tricked him because he's a little idiot. God love him.
He's our idiot, though. And,
yeah. Yeah.
Do we have any more any closing thoughts on the show in general?
Going home is the real unknown. The real scary part. Facing reality.
Tell me about it.
Oh my God. Oh boy. Which character do you relate to, if any?
I think I relate to Wirt because we've all had imposter syndrome, and we've all had insecurities, and I think that he's a good main character in that way, that we can see the folly that he's getting into. We can see the mistakes that he's making, because maybe we made those mistakes ourselves, jumping to conclusions about what people think of us. Jumping to conclusions, maybe blaming people for something that you did. Sometimes it's hard as a teenager to...
Or an adult.
Yeah, or an adult. But as a teenager, which Wirt is, it's hard to sometimes sort of look at yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. And see yourself for who you are.
Yeah, and realize that some of the mistakes that have been made are your fault. They're no one's fault but yours.
It's true.
But, think about it. Every decision that we've made up to today led us right here to record this podcast.
And hear that firework.
Yeah.
Are you going to ask me which character I relate to?
That was coming next. Let me guess. The school teacher?
No.
The ABC song?
I'm the highwayman.
Wow. Really?
I'm the highwayman. No. I don't know. Probably Beatrice.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you would trick people. And
I think I'm a little jaded.
That's fair. Yeah.
But I think I have a good heart. But if I don't, then I'm the highwayman. I mean, I'm the highwayman.
You're not the highwayman.
I'll do what I can. I'll steal your shoes. I don't know the lyrics. Again, I don't know lyrics to any songs.
Yeah, one thing we need to point out, and we've already pointed it out on several episodes, is that, I'm a professional musician, and, you don't like music, apparently? Or you don't listen to music?
I like music when I come across it, but I rarely discover music.
Right. Yeah. We need to do a special episode
about
at one point.
Music?
Yeah, about music.
How to music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How to music. How to just listen to music.
I kind of don't. I don't know. I guess because I choose to listen to podcasts over music a lot of the time.
Right.
I like talking. I like audiobooks, but I don't really choose to listen to music. I mean, some music is inescapable. If it's in a movie, I will probably love it.
Right.
That's,
Well,
that's my main way
inescapable.
of discovering
So,
music, actually, is movies. And
did
video
Guardians
games.
of the Galaxy like turn you on to some of those 70s hits?
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
I didn't love all of them, but I liked a
neither
lot of
did
them.
I. But, they made good choices.
Yeah, definitely. I think I like more dramatic songs because I was really into musical theater for a while.
Okay.
So
you like music.
I
like you were into musical theater as a performer or going to watch it?
Both.
Okay. So you like music.
I've been in a few musicals. In high school when we did that, I was the only character who is a girl, speaks, but does not sing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Your Highwayman song was pretty...
I'm the Highwayman!
Listen to that.
I only know the one song, and, one line, just like, I know 2 lines from Potatoes and Molasses.
One last thing I was going to say, too, about Lorna was I thought that maybe, and maybe you thought this, too, that there was going to be a turn where his focus, he was going to learn to look beyond Sarah, because we hadn't seen episode 9 yet. We knew that he had a crush on a girl named Sarah, but we hadn't seen the reality of it, right? And I thought perhaps Lorna was going to be his new love interest, and that there was going to be a lesson about, moving on, and that they were going to get together. Because there was a lot of hints there, like, see you later, I hope so. Like Lorna really wanted to see Word again.
Well, I actually didn't think about it that much, but maybe you did because you're a boy. I was just like, whatever.
Yeah. No, I mean, I maybe that's true. Yeah.
I guess there's potential there. I wouldn't say there's no potential, but she does kind of exist in the liminal space that we're not sure if he can ever return to.
Yeah, exactly.
That may doom their romance.
Yeah, they were doomed from the start. Because, all of this happening could have just been a joint fever dream between him and Greg while they were almost drowning in the lake.
It could have been, but I do like the idea that you can interpret it however you like.
That's the best kind of art.
I think it did happen, but that's my thought.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think it was a Wizard of Oz kind of thing where maybe it sort of happened and that they're remembering it more grandiose than what really happened.
But they're both Dorothy. You can't have a shared delusion.
Well, one could be Toto. No, I think the frog was Toto.
The frog is
maybe.
Toto, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe Wirt and Greg were both Dorothy.
Dorothy. Well, welcome to the unknown, boys. You're more lost than you realize. And that's how I'm going to end this, by welcoming you to another segment.
We're going to do a new segment today.
Where we're not talking about the subject anymore. We're just talking about ourselves.
Right. Which, really isn't that what everyone wants to do. No, but seriously, this is called Kim's News Voice.
No. What?
Yes. Kim's News Voice.
This is not a recurring segment, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's going to be recurring for sure.
I don't see how. That sounds not that interesting.
I don't know. I think people might really be enthralled. But Kim's News Voice, what that means is Kim has talked several times about how she has a news voice and has trouble turning it off.
I did turn it off for the whole show, though.
You did?
I did.
You did. You were being...
This is my normal voice.
Casual Kim.
Yeah.
But when you're presenting or when you're hosting, you feel that you have... This is your words, not mine, that you have a news voice.
Well, I don't remember saying this, so who knows? Yeah, so I'm trained in news.
Yeah.
That's where I have my Emmy. That's where my background is. Like now I'm more of, I'm a new media. I'm a digital host.
Yeah.
I am an entertainment journalist, but I started as a straight up local news reporter. And it's a little bit different. It's very different vibes. There's a good reason why I left that industry.
Well, there's a cadence to it.
There is a cadence to it.
And I think your news voice is great because it's very professional and it demands attention.
Yeah, but it's also like not authentic, I mean,
but I think it's authentic to you.
Is it? I'm not authentic?
No, I mean you are authentic. It's just you're news. You're a news person.
I think
You are living news.
In my heart, I'm a reporter.
Yeah.
I think no matter what I do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, is there news I could read so I can give an example of this?
Yeah, we should find some news. Preferably not like really terrible news. Maybe like a puff piece somewhere. You gonna find something?
I'm gonna find some soft news.
Okay. Maybe like something about feeding penguins.
I found something.
Or something.
Okay.
Great.
All right, I have some news copy. I haven't read this. This is a cold read. It's about cheese. Because you told me to find some soft news. So, soft ripened cheese, huh? What can be softer than that? Recalled for potential listeria contamination. A cheese company has issued a voluntary recall for potential listeria contamination, the Food and Drug Administration has said. Savincia Cheese USA is recalling soft ripened cheeses manufactured in their Lena facility. The company said the cheese could potentially be contaminated with Listeria monocytogenes. That's hard to read on a cold read.
It is.
The following producers are affected by the recall and are sold under brand names like Aldi and La Bonne Vie. And then it lists a bunch of cheeses.
Oh, no. Poor Aldi.
Yeah.
They were doing
Aldi's kind
so
of
well.
a rough place in general, though.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Dude. Yeah, so it's like this more urgent kind of, and there's a definite tempo to it. It's like da 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 da.
Right. Right. So I've been a fake news person a few times.
Oh, you love fake news?
In fact, no. What I mean is that I read some real news to be on a song.
Oh.
So Ice-T's band Body Count.
Oh, cool.
They asked me to be a reporter in the middle of one of their songs. A lot of their songs, they're very socially conscious. So a lot of their songs will do a breakdown and then they'll play like facts they'll play facts that sort of convey the message of the song, you know? So I was sent these scripts to read as I was a reporter in one of their songs. It was really cool. And that album actually, I think, was nominated for a Grammy or won a Grammy. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can I say, though, you do not look like a news reporter.
Oh, not at all.
Most news reporters do not have long beards, wear all black, and have a cowboy hat.
Yeah, they usually do not. So I can audibly sound like a news person if I need to.
You can audibly sound like an ogre or a magic man or whatever because you are a professional at that.
Yeah.
But that's really all I could play. Like, okay, time to talk some shit. I had an agent. I don't have an agent right now.
Okay.
But I dropped her because I would say, hey, I'm not an actor. I'm a host. I would love to do, different shows talking about topics. I would love to be a presenter. I can do all kinds of things. Maybe I can even do a commercial. Who knows? But no acting, please. If you put me up for acting, let me play a reporter. That's all I can do. And she's like, yeah, definitely, for sure. I get you. And she puts me out for like acting roles all the time. And then the roles I would get would be, one, clearly for a man, and two, clearly not my type. It was like, okay, here's some sides. I want you to audition to be a carjacker. And I'd be like, what part of me comes off as a carjacker? These are masculine names. There's a lot of stuff in here that does not sound believable coming out of me. And
carjacker.
Yeah. What about me says, hey, I know how to steal a car.
I mean,
I definitely can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're the wolf in sheep's clothing character or something.
I think, I mean, I've done voiceover classes for animation, which you do. Mm-hmm. And they've been like, well, your type is like kind of like a know-it-all, like a teenager. And I'd be like, yeah, I can buy that. I can't buy... Male carjacker.
Yeah. If your agent,
hey you, put him up, because I'm going to steal your automobile right now, and I need it. So keys, please.
Wow.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I don't have an agent anymore. Long story short.
That's okay. Sometimes agents are not right for us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah. Where were we going with this?
I don't know. We were talking about your news voice, and that was our segment, brand new segment, Kim's news voice.
It just seems like a jumping off point for me to talk about things. But
yeah,
I had a news voice. I try really hard to turn it off, but sometimes I like have it half on when I'm doing things like, you know, I'm talking about entertainment news.
Yeah.
I'll go halfway there.
Yeah. It's very authoritative. And so to me, it demands attention. Like when the news voice is on, I want to listen.
Well, there's many reasons why I left that industry. A lot of it is antiquated. People don't watch it. A lot of it is very phony. Hence the voice.
Right.
You know? There's like a very specific vibe and look that you need to have that I don't necessarily want to wear for my whole life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I, honestly, even more so in LA, like some of the things that the reporters wear in the Los Angeles market, as opposed to, because I travel all around the country, as opposed to like in, I don't know, rural Virginia or, you know, Chicago even. Some of the things that you would have to wear in LA news are very strange.
It's like all monochromatic, like knee-length dresses, and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty boring. But I think it's why you're not seeing that in smaller markets is because they pay less. So it's not a very profitable industry either.
Right.
So you can't do it unless you love it. And I guess I didn't love it enough because, you know, a first market job, you're making, what, 19, 20K a year?
Oh,
it's nothing.
That's not even a living wage, is it?
It's not a living wage.
Wow.
And you have to make it work. I mean, granted, cost of living in Los Angeles is way higher than many places, so you can make it work. But do you want to? And then in a lot of places, they'll do MMJs, which are multimedia journalists, which means they'll send one person out, and they will also be the camera person. They'll also edit it. They'll drive the vehicle. And
alone?
Yeah. And it can be very dangerous, especially if you are a woman, which I am.
Yeah.
So,
hey, go down to that crime scene that just happened by yourself.
Do it all by yourself. Talk to the people all by yourself. Also, it's dark out.
Yeah.
It's a little scary. And to me, it just, all these different factors, it wasn't worth it. I just didn't believe in it anymore, too, because when I was coming up, we had all these like old notions. I remember I was in news meetings and they were like, hey, should we be doing more stuff on the internet? Should we be doing like multimedia or social media? And like the news director was just like, no, we're going to have the news on the air at these times. And it just, you can do that. But if I want to know about some news in my area, I'm going to look it up. I'm not going to wait an hour.
I'm immediately on my phone.
I'm not waiting an hour.
Absolutely not.
So yeah. Also, I don't really have local TV anymore. I stream. Hence the name of this show.
But hey, way to bring it back around.
I know.
To the title of the show.
See, I'm a pro.
Yeah. Wow. So maybe that's where we should end it today.
We did it.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, next week, I'm not sure what we have going, but I hope you
we can record this
in.
part later.
Yeah. Okay.
When we know what's going on, we can record that part later.
Yeah. Perfect.
I think we did it.
We did it. Let me go hit stop.
Yay.
Okay. Intro Skippers with Jason Charles Miller and Kim Horcher is produced and edited by Kim Horcher and Jason Charles Miller. The name order doesn't really matter. Additional writing by Kim Horcher. Theme song and incidental music by Jason Charles Miller. Take it away, me. You can rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars only, please. And you might find your review read on a future episode. Got a question? Email us at introskipperspod@gmail.com. That too could be featured on a future episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Intro Skippers on your favorite podcast platform. All right, for getting this far, you get a reward. I stopped talking.